Hello everyone. It's been a while since I have done a video on the La Bataille game system, and I have received the Bataille de Ligny, and I thought I would give it a try. It has the new 5th edition rules, which are a perhaps more developed system, kind of based on the rules that had come with the Dresden game. And so I'm looking forward to trying those out to see how that goes. The videos I'd done regarding Ligny before were just looking at the components and comparing the 2nd edition map and components to the 1st edition map and components. And what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of videos is actually playing through the first scenario that is part of the exclusive rules. This is a smaller scenario that deals with just a small portion of the battlefield here around Saint-Amand-la-Haye, and the conflict that was taking place there between the Prussians and the French. Now I thought I would do a little bit of us looking at the map here before I place the units down. The Prussians are setting up a defensive line here in these villages along Ligny Creek. And the reason why this is advantageous for them is that there's a number of sort of fortified farms that were very common in this part of Belgium and the Low Countries, that had been developed over the centuries, dealing with the various invasions that had taken place through here. So these are some nice places for the Prussians to occupy. They're a challenge for the French to take, and given the quality or lack thereof of the Prussian troops, being able to be in these sorts of defensive structures and being in some of these other types of structures is going to give them every advantage they need to try to stand up against the French. The reason why the French want to take these towns and to kind of work their way through here is that the stream here is easy to cross for their cavalry and their infantry, but the artillery can only cross at the occasional bridges that are here on the map and maybe a few of the fords. So in order for the French to get across here to kind of flank the Prussians and to attack them in the center, they need to be able to support their infantry and cavalry with artillery. That means taking these bridges and getting through the infantry that are defending there. In addition to the fortified farms, we also have some other terrain that is advantage for the Prussians, and that is these little village hexes, which provide the Prussians with some improved fire defense, as well as these cultivated hexes, which also provide for some fire defense, and also they block line of sight and have some advantages for the units defending behind them, in that the French cavalry can't charge through those, the artillery can't fire through those, so the Prussians can kind of hide behind that and get a little bit of defense, and shield themselves somewhat from attack. Now, the gist of this scenario, as far as victory points go, is for each side to control 5 or more hexes of the Saint-Amand-la-Haye village. There's altogether 8 hexes that are part of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if the French are able to control 5 of those, or the Prussians are able to control 5 of those at the end of the scenario, they'll have attained a victory. The Prussians have the ability to bring in some reinforcements. If they do that, then their victory would be somewhat diminished. So they have to kind of balance that against losing altogether. The French just have one single division making this attack. So the battle itself, this scenario is nice small scale with a French division, and then looks like one and possibly two Prussian brigades. All right, so now we have deployed our Prussian forces. Some of these units are ones that we're able to use, and some are there representing units that are engaged with other French, just so that the French can't necessarily maneuver through unoccupied space. So these elements that are part of the 29th Regiment, etc., down here in the Saint-Amand-le-Château area are there as basically placeholders. They're actually fighting against other French units in the real battle, but they're not part of this scenario. So I'm just going to put a little out of command marker on them to know that they're there, but they're not actually part of the game here that we're doing. But it basically prevents the French from moving through that area. Now, the bulk of the Prussian forces that we have available are here, deployed in Saint-Amand-le-Haye. We have a few skirmishers here in Saint-Amand-le-Hameau. And then we have some additional Prussians back here that are part of Steinmetz's brigade. Now, if we look a little further back, we'll see those are the reinforcements that are available to the Prussians if at some point in the scenario the French get those 5 village hexes captured. Then the Prussians can call on those reinforcements to come in and try to push the French out. So that's kind of how things look. Now, one thing that we have with this particular scenario is that these units that are starting here in the villages, cultivated hexes, and in the chateaus are obscured. That is, they are marked with a blank marker indicating that they cannot be seen, or we're not sure, the French aren't sure what they're wandering into, given the fact that I guess the wheat, the corn, whatever was growing here had grown rather high. It obscured the various and sundry Prussian and Allied forces, both here and at Quatre Bras. And so the advantage here, of course, for the Prussians is that when they're obscured, they can't be fired upon except by other skirmishers. So French artillery cannot fire on them. Normal French musketry can't fire upon them until their obscure marker has been removed. And that can only be done if the Prussians themselves move out of this terrain. That is, they move out into the clear terrain or in some other capacity, or they are assaulted by the French. And when that happens, then the obscure marker is removed, and then they can be attacked normally. All right, and here we have our French division deployed. Girard's division has a couple of regiments of light infantry and a couple of regiments of line infantry and one artillery battery. Um, Currently, all of his units are within command range of the division general, and so we're ready to start the game.